Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Hello and welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. I'm your host, James, and with me it's who let you back in? Oh,
Sorry, I can't keep away. I'm like a bad penny. I keep turning up.
oh look, everybody, it's Steve. Hello,
Hello,
Steve. How are you?
hello, everybody. I'm fine, thank you, James. You know me. I love being here.
Yes, I know. You literally, in a virtual kind of way, pushed every other WhatsApp recipient to aside to dive to the front to make sure that you were hand waving in air when we said we need someone to step in this week. Me.
I'm like
That's not.
I'm like the woman at the wedding who's going to catch that bouquet. You know, I will rugby
Matt,
tackle anybody.
the way you knocked Tom down is unbelievable. A sight to truly behold. But there we are. How are you, Steve? How goes life? How goes railway modelling for you?
I'm okay. As for railway modelling, for those who saw my recent video, I've realised I haven't done an awful lot of actual modelling this year. What with one thing or another, I wasn't particularly well over the summer, as some people know. So yeah, I kind of everything's been a bit on the back burner. Any bits of modelling I've done have been things like fitting decoders or a little bit of weathering, but yeah, the layout is a bit neglected. So hopefully, I'll get my mojo back.
Well, that's fair enough. Sometimes just a little bit of modelling is all you need, just to tick you over, kind of thing, isn't it? You don't have
Yeah,
to go out your
I
way and build a full-length Magnus layout.
yeah, I've had some set track out on my workbench that I can test locos on, but I put a point in it, just a set track point, and I've just been shunting backwards and forwards just with just a loco and a couple of wagons, and that's kind of satisfied me. So yeah, the old layout's not had a proper running session for a while, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks I might do one, and might scare everybody and put it on YouTube.
Well, that'd be interesting. To be honest, you've come on the wrong week to guest host. You should come on next week because we'll be discussing micro layouts next week. Which would have set with a little theme of your set track point and a bit of
Well,
shunting. But
that's interesting because obviously Brooklyn Park is a small layout, but it doesn't actually class as a micro layout. Because I used to be a member of the micro layouts group on Facebook, and they had some very, very strict criteria. But the one layout that I exhibited was an actual micro layout. It was kind of like a little shunting puzzle type thing, and it was only about two and a bit foot long by about a foot deep, and that had enough for me to do to actually do a whole exhibition.
this is what even more and more curious because we were also trying to decide what are the dimensions that would classify something as a micro layout. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
the more we carry on, the more I realise I've got you in for the wrong week. I should have got Tom in this week for the.
Had I known, had you given me the schedule in advance, I could have been your man on the scene.
we
I think I've actually been chucked out of the micro layouts group. I'll have to check because obviously all of my layouts since have been outside of their criteria.
Well, that's a bit harsh. You mean if you build something bigger, that's it, you're out.
I think you're allowed to be in, but you're not allowed to post on the group because they are very strict. It's quite funny. It's like the shelf layouts group that I'm a member of because obviously my layout is a shelf layout, but I did post a couple of things on the group that were a bit outside of shelf criteria, and it didn't get banned, but I got a nudge from one of the admins saying, "Oh, you got to keep it shelf, got to keep it shelf."
Oh dear, hey, the strictness of this hobby. But yeah, we can't be allowing you to see all the schedule, otherwise you wouldn't be surprised as a paying Patreon member of what episodes are coming up.
Well, absolutely. My problem is I'm a Patreon member and I get the email saying, "Oh, you can watch it ad free," and I'm like, I want to watch the ads. or listen to the ads. I like listening to Tom doing Chester Worselton or whatever his name is, and obviously now you've got the King on there. I mean, that's a bit of me.
It may no, it was. I believe he claimed to be an emperor at the end of it. There's no one saying it's the king, Steve, because that would be illegal.
Well, that would be when myself and Mrs. British Railroader were in Buckingham Palace the other weekend. We thought, well, if we see him, I'm going to say to him, "I'm very glad that you're on the Model Rail Replacement podcast," but I'm quite glad that I didn't now.
Yeah, that's it. We were on a lot of hot water about that, but fortunately, that they covered it with a little bit at the end. So it sounds like our king, but it's most certainly not, because we know advertising rules wouldn't allow us to do such a thing.
Oh dear.
And I did tell Sam and Tom that when I wrote the script for them. And they pitched the idea to me. And I said, well, you're not supposed to, but okay. It's testing the waters. It's to see if he is listening, because if he is listening, we might get a little letter telling us off. But then we know that the king's listening, and what a claim that would be. We can then get the little, the companies that get that allowed to have the little royal seal of approval on their
by royal
Yeah, that's
appointment.
it.
Yes, I
That's it.
think
Model Rail Replacement Podcast by royal appointment. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I think that's the way to go. I think we should. I shall start a letter writing campaign forthwith.
In the meantime, me and Sam are going to be trying working another sort of grift to get to meet His Majesty, and that's sort of working towards our knighthood. And we decided to do that by, obviously, last year people know you from obviously being interviewed on the podcast, and then you came on to our Christmas special.
I did indeed.
Yeah, yeah, and I do believe you volunteered yourself for this year's Christmas special.
I have volunteered myself for this year's top secret, nobody can find out about it Christmas special. I haven't even told the wife what we're doing, though she did see me chuckling as I was reading through the script.
There we are. There we are. Giving stuff away already there, Steve. They know it's a script now. However, have you told your wife about the good things that we will be doing with this episode?
No, I haven't. Much to my shame, I haven't told her about the charity that you're going to be supporting.
Well, I'll tell you what. She can listen to this episode and find out that way, just like everyone else can.
Absolutely.
So, yes, this year, obviously, we want to try and do this as a yearly traditional thing, in which we will do a Christmas special and support a charity of our choice. And we have chosen Cash for Kids, which is a wonderful charity which supports children in neglected areas, in poverty. It helps improve their life. And at Christmas, what they do is they will raise a large cash sum, and they will buy presents for less fortunate children. And we felt this was a very worthy cause, particularly as we are in such a glamorous hobby of which we probably self-indulge on quite lavish, expensive products a little too much sometimes. And so we thought it'd be nice to give back and those less fortunate enjoy Christmas. So we have chosen Cash for Kids. And not only that, we will be having the Christmas special running alongside a charity raffle. And this raffle we are holding on Just Giving, and I will read out the link when I find it. But what you can do is, if you donate £5, you can have a raffle ticket. And if you donate £10, you can have 2 raffle tickets, and so on and so forth. And these raffle tickets will allow you to be put into draw for a first, second, and third prizes. And the prizes, we haven't confirmed what they are yet, but we can confirm that it is gradually growing. And we have the following people who are donating to us. So we have Hornby, who are going to be donating some prizes. Cavalex are donating. Buggles Kelly Station is donating. The Little Layout Company is donating. Ron Lines is donating. And Gauge Master is donating. So we have 6 donations of prizes so far. And there are some good prizes in there. I'm not going to tell you what they are just yet, but there are some good prizes. So it is worth going and having a look at our Just Giving page, which we will put I'll get Sam to put the link at the bottom of the screen. We will put it on Instagram. We will paste it everywhere that we can. And I am just trying to buy time because I'm trying to find the link so I can read it out to you. Here it is. It will be If you want to look it up, look up for justgiving.com/page/MRRP. So that's obviously Model Rail Replacement Podcast, or Mike Romeo Papa Christmas episode new page equals true. No, that's the long way of doing it. But if you look up Just Giving, I'm sure we can do Just Giving, and you can search Model Rail Replacement Podcast or MERP Christmas episode, and it should hopefully turn up. And that will be your ticket into going into the raffle prize draw. The winners will be announced on the Christmas special, which will be on the 22nd of December during that episode. So you'll have to listen in, no matter how bad you think it is, to find out if you've won or not. So, yeah, that's what we will be doing this year.
Fantastic. That sounds amazing.
Now, you won a T-shirt the last time we did a competition.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Am I not allowed to? Am I not allowed to?
You're not allowed to enter.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
but
anyone in our small circle is not allowed to enter.
but I have offered a little something towards your prize draw, haven't I?
You have indeed, Steve. Yes, you
I
have.
have. Yes.
Yes. Steve's donating a little prize, and also obviously would be a bit daft if Model Rail Placement Podcast didn't offer anything, and we will be throwing in some T-shirts in there, I believe, at the very minimum. I think Sam has some other ideas, but again, we'll have more details on the prizes when we have more confirmed. So
It's gonna be the bucket hats, isn't it? Because you can't get rid of them.
We got 10,000 of them in the warehouse, and we don't know what to do with them. I told him not to waste the Patreon money on it, but he was so insistent. He told me they were coming back in fashion.
I like to know where my Patreon pennies are going.
Bucket hats, Steve. Bucket hats. That could be the new tier. If you give us so much money, you can have a bucket hat.
Or if you give even more money, you won't get a bucket hat.
Yeah, I like it.
Patreon Gold tier, no bucket hat included.
Yes, that could work. And you get a model weathered by Sam. Or not. I don't know, mate.
Wow.
If
Absolutely.
you don't want to send him one, yeah, you can have one. It's up to you. You don't have to have one weathered by him. You might like keeping your models pristine, clean, fresh, like they're straight out of the box.
Some of us like it dirty.
That's it. Chester likes it dirty, though. There we are. Shall we go to the news?
Come on then, let's go.
Right. What news is this, Steve?
I don't know. I asked you last night and you didn't tell me.
I was trying to see if you'd use your initiative and just double check to make sure that we hadn't missed anything in the previous episodes. And if you had, Steve, you'd know that we missed many things in the previous episodes. Mostly Rails announcements. One glaring admission is the Rails exclusive with Bachmann at Cali 439 tank locomotive. This was announced a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, Scottish modelers must be rejoicing at what's coming through at the moment, because obviously with Rapido's announcements, this announcement with Rails, they are being very well looked after. They've been neglected for some time, but now being very well looked after. So yeah, the Cali is going to be offered in 6 variations, starting from the Caledonian Railway all the way through LMS BIA up to its preservation livery as seen today. And will be coming in at prices of DCC ready, 184.95, with sound 294.95, and obviously Bachmann's super duper deluxe sound model at 324.95.
Wow.
And that wasn't yeah. I mean, if you're a Scottish modeler, it's going to be pretty good, isn't it?
Well, I think you're right, because there's been a lot of pre-grouping stuff that's been coming out, but yeah, you're right. Scotland has kind of been left to one side for a little bit, hasn't it?
It has indeed. Well, not only Scotland, I suppose. Now you mention it, pre-grouping and countries. There's obviously a new company that popped up this week.
Oh yes, go on. You can pronounce it.
It's Bringare.
Excellent. Well done.
I was with Sam yesterday when we were doing a recording going, how do you pronounce it? Is it Bringare? Bringare? I believe it's Bringare. which is a brand new company currently being stocked by Rails of Sheffield. Anyone's going to think that this episode is sponsored by Rails of Sheffield. If you do want to sponsor us, Rails of Sheffield, we are open for sponsorship. But obviously, us keep saying your name this many times, you don't really need to pay us. So we should say a well-known company in South Yorkshire. I don't know. Yes, their first offering then is a two-plank wagon based on that of the Cambrian Railways design, and will be offered in the Cambrian Railways livery and in GWR livery as it later worn. The company say that they aim to produce ready-to-run Welsh outline rolling stock, or stock, should I say, between 1840 and 1922. And anything that then escaped that time period to be painted in other colours, i.e., like the GWR or even BR, they will produce. So I think it's quite interesting to see what they come up with. I'm hoping when they say stock, they might actually include some Cambrian Railway locomotives, because I would like a Cambrian locomotive to go with my 009 for a section of railway I've got planned, but we'll see on that one. Sticking with the theme of Rails of Sheffield, then they also announced this week, and this one's quite a good one to get people to hear about, is they've got a charity wagon, which is one of the Daypole tooling vent vans, and this will be to support the Sheffield Children's Hospital, with all profits going to the hospital. So a worthy cause there, if you want to support that. And then the final bit of news that we missed from the other week was Blackburn also announced that they are working with Barla Lake for another limited edition Quarry Hunslet. So there was Holy War that had been produced once before, and is a holy price now on eBay if you're after it. This will be another Quarry Hunslet. This is George B, and it's currently preserved in its maroon livery. Coming in at 154.95, expected for late 2026, early 2027, and that is available to pre-order with a deposit on the website now.
Nice.
And
They've
that,
got quite a few bits, haven't they?
yeah, indeed. Yeah, to be honest, I'm quite tempted by that George B. It does look quite nice, that livery. So I'm going to have a think about it, but not too long, because obviously that will probably sell quite quick
Got
if
to, got to,
Holy
got to,
War's anything to go
got to
by.
get your pre-orders in.
You have, yeah. Well, they say these Quarry Hunsets, they sell fast. They're
Yeah,
very well sought after. I mean, it's nice that Alice is coming back. I think Batman may have announced a couple more that they've been returning, but we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get some more 009 news off Backburn in the future. We shall find out.
yeah. No, absolutely. I think again, it's one of those things, isn't it? That it's pretty good time for you 009 modelers.
Well, that's because 009 is the greatest scale that was ever made.
I'll take your word for it.
Particularly the model Talaclin, which is the exact correct scale for 00 gauge modelling. Because the 9mm track is 2'3" apart, which is obviously the Talaclin or Chorus. Or there was another one, and I read about it the other day in a book, and I completely forgot its name. Never mind. There was a third.
There
I
was
think
a
it was out near
third.
Welsh. There was a third. I think it was out near Welsh Pool, if I recall. I know what it was. It was, I can't remember the name of the line, but the Llangollen went one way, and then they were going to try to come in the other way towards Devil's Bridge, and that line coming in towards Devil's Bridge, whatever it was called, that was the other 2'3" railway. It never got very far. And it didn't live very long. So
Did you know it occurred
there we
to
are.
me the other day that here in Southend-on-Sea, in glorious Essex, we have a narrow gauge
Hmm.
railway.
You do,
We do,
yes.
because the Pier Railway is a 3-foot gauge railway and has 1.3 miles of track, since the pier is 1.3 miles long. It just suddenly occurred to me the other day when we were messing about in our WhatsApp group that, yeah, I live in a town that's got its own electric run narrow gauge railway.
That's a very good claim. That's a very good claim to have. I
Yeah.
like that. I grew up in a county that had its own narrow gauge, but now I don't. We've got a couple of standard gauge preserved lines in my county, but
Yeah, Essex is like
nothing.
that. We've got about four, I think, four standard gauge preserved railways.
We have three in Northamptonshire. I think there's one in Rushden, one on the east side of Northampton, and there's a very small little railway that I didn't even know existed. It's in a park. and it's just like a little industrial loop. They get like a little diesel engine and the brake van out every Sunday. I can't think of the name of it, but it's just by the side of the A43 when you go under the M1. I didn't know it was there until I spotted it on the Rail. I think it's called Rail Map Online, which if people don't know that website, is a brilliant website. Someone has painstakingly put all the existing railways of Britain onto this map, all color coded, all historic railways on there, and you got the different layers. So you can put the modern layers on if you want to. Um, and yeah, it was on there. I was like, I didn't know there was a line there. That's how I spotted it. So yeah, it's a great little website, and do go support it because they almost shut down the other week because it was running out of funds because it has to pay Google for use of the map. So it's a valuable tool for modelling, I'd say. So yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know about it. Rail Map Online.
Oh, take a look at that one.
There we are. Or yeah, don't like that. If you put that in Google, it will turn up. You'll find it. They also have canals on there if you're interested in that sort of thing. So Steve, you didn't know anything about the news. Do you at
No,
least know who we've got in this week as our guest?
I do. I do.
Apart from you,
Well, I
obviously.
mean, apart from me, obviously, I am the best. I am the best guest that you could ever have. But yes, I understand that you've got a man who was from the BBC.
Yes, we do. It's yeah, we have Ben Ando, who is now of Revolution Trains, a tiny little company that started off as a Kickstarter. Uh, is now producing wonderful, beautiful models, and we find out all about how they're from their humble beginnings to how they have become the company that they are today. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will be talking to Ben from Revolution Trains.
Wilson? Wilson!
Yes, sir?
Is everything set for His Majesty's arrival?
Yes, sir. The chefs are preparing the banquet, and his room is prepared.
And the model room as per his request?
Yes, sir. The models are all out on display.
Your Majesty, welcome to my humble abode. Yes, very good old sport. Come on, let's play trains. Absolutely, Your Majesty. What's this? Something wrong, Your Majesty? These locos, they're so clean, so fresh, like they're straight out of the box. All cleaned up for your arrival. Oh no, my dear boy, you know what I want. I want it dirty. Dirty? Show me your dirty shunter. Okay, here you go. Oh yes, that's the stuff. Who made this filth?
It was Emperor's Path, Your Majesty.
I think I'll have to make a royal appointment myself, and still have some change to buy my new helicopter.
You can get your models weathered by Emperor's Path using just the airbrush for a light dusting, or alternatively, oil paints and airbrush to add that extra depth. Contact Emperor's Path on Instagram at emperors_path, or alternatively, emperorspathcontact@gmail.com.
Emperor's Path? I'm the only emperor around here.
Right, we're back then, and it's a bit like buses, this, because, we wouldn't have any manufacturers who produce models, and then they all come along at once. This week, we've got Ben from Revolution Trains. Hello, Ben. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, not a problem.
Yeah, I'm good. Hanging in there, as they say.
Excellent stuff. So you are one of, I think we were just talking off air there, but one of 5 members of Revolution Trains, is that right? So
That's right. We are a tiny company.
How did this company
we got a
start then? How did you sort of come into being, I suppose?
Well, back in 2014, Mike Hale, who's a friend of mine and a fellow modern image N-gauge modeler, and I were very excited about the prospect of buying an N-gauge Pendolino from Dapol, who had announced that they would make one. Unfortunately, they decided to can that project because they didn't think there was a market there. We then were approached by Dapple's former designer, Dave Jones, who said that if you can get 1,000 people together to each buy one, I can produce a 9-car Pendolino for you for £1,000. To cut a long story short, we thought that was a good idea. We decided to launch a Kickstarter campaign to crowdfund it. We replaced Dave Jones with Rapido Trains of Canada because we had a kind of very, bit of a relationship with them already. And the Kickstarter failed, but Jason Schron, the MD of Rapido Trains, said, "You've got so many people," because we came literally that close to succeeding. He said it's obvious that people will buy it, especially when they see the model. So he showed faith, and we made it happen with him. And a couple of years later, people were getting their brand new Engage Pendolinos. And we had created a website to do this. We created a website with a way that people could sign up and all the rest of it. And it dawned on us that what we had there was a merchandising platform, and in principle, there was nothing else we couldn't do in terms of crowdfunding new models. So we then decided, well, let's try something else. Let's try a wagon. And we tried the TEA bogie tanker in Engage, and again, that worked out okay. And it went from there, really.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's sort of like just wish listing to become a company. Did you ever dream that when you were making that or plans for that Pendolino that you'd be where you are today?
No, I don't think so. I think we both approached it as a hobby to start with. It was just something that would enable us to obtain trains that we wanted, model trains that we wanted, and also help other people join us in obtaining the model trains they wanted. It was only really when I decided to take redundancy from my previous job at the BBC that we talked about turning it into a sort of a job, if you like. And we realized that by that stage, we delivered enough models that we had a reasonable reputation. We sort of stopped going down the crowdfunding route. Now we just have simple pre-orders. We never insist on people following pre-orders through. If they decide they want a refund or they decide they don't want the model, that's absolutely fine, because we've always got way enough pre-orders to keep the thing going and make it happen. And it was only really in 2020, as I said, just after COVID, when we decided that we could probably make a business out of it. And we sort of tried to professionalize the whole thing. And I thought I'd probably go into all the things that, old has-been hacks go into, like media training or ghostwriting or voiceover work or that kind of thing. And as it happens, I've done to do none of that, because this has proved to be a success and has kept me very, very busy indeed, sometimes too busy.
That's cool. That is quite the career change, isn't it, to jump from that to this? But I imagine that you're happy in what you do, producing these models.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's an exciting process you go through if you're interested in model trains, as we obviously are. From researching it, well, from the first thing, it is decide what you want to make. You then research it, you find out a lot about it, you track down drawings, get licensing where that's required. And then you go through the process of seeing the CAD drawings come through, and then the first samples come through. And yeah, it's just an exciting process to be a part of. We go to shows, we go to 5, 6, 7 shows every year, so we can meet people and talk to people, which is great. We're all kind of trained guys, we're enthusiasts. It's given us the opportunity to do all sorts of really cool stuff that we would never have been able to do normally, like ride on the inspection saloon Caroline, because we made a model of that, so Network Rail allowed us to take it out for the day. We've been able to go into all sorts of depots and locomotive repair facilities and so on. It's really exciting. We've been to quarries, been to aluminium plants, been to all sorts of really interesting places that normally I wouldn't have expected to see inside. And yeah, I really enjoy that side of things. I really enjoy our relationship with the big railway, with the grown-up rail industry as well, and we find it really rewarding.
That's cool. It's interesting. I never really thought of the research part of it, where you get to have all these trips out. Because when we talked to Cav and Alex a couple of weeks ago, they said exactly the same. They did gone to Scunthorpe to go look at the wagons there. That sort of part of the job. I never think if you're designing a model, you get to do all that. But that sounds great. Like all these sort of trips out to these interesting different places that most people who like railways will never get to see. So that's got to be quite fun there.
Absolutely, and I can't stress enough the generosity of those that help us out. For example, just last week I was at the Great Central Railway near Loughborough, looking at the remaining centre car of a Class 120 diesel unit. We're doing one of those in Engage, and it's been a tough one to research, that has, but we have found some decent drawings now, so CAD will be starting very soon. And as I said, we located, they had one there. It was tucked away in a siding, but they allowed us to go and look at it. And we climbed inside it, and walking through that that car was fascinating because there was still some old British Rail, logo glasses in there. There was old price lists. There was all sorts of stuff. So it did feel a little bit like stepping back in time to a period of history that we only just remember now. Really, really, really exciting. And again, without the generosity of them letting us go there, we couldn't do that. And that goes for the whole rail industry, all the places we go to where they open their doors and welcome us very kindly.
Yeah, I think that's nice, isn't it? When the big railway let all companies in to do this and allow us to recreate that, their world in miniature. I think that is a really nice symbiotic relationship that we have with them. So that's really cool. What brought you to then? I suppose you probably tipped on it already when you mentioned the expanding, but going into OO gauge, because obviously you started off as N gauge. You are an N gauge model, I believe, is that right?
Yes, I only do N-gauge, and I've started collecting a little bit of TT now because we are doing a TT wagon. Mike Hale, my co-director, is part owner of a layout called Old Shore, which is EM, so that's 4mm. Our other colleagues, Simon, Mike, and Louis, model in various scales. And realistically, the double O market is huge compared to the N-gauge market. Now, because we're a small company, and we don't have huge overheads, we can make a financial case for doing something like, for example, a class 120 in N, whereas for a larger manufacturer working in N, it probably wouldn't make financial sense at all, and would be something they just couldn't do. However, it's always nice to have a little bit of extra money in the pot. And if we've done all the research for our N-gauge models, then it seems sensible to also do the models in double O, provided that we're not competing with anybody else. We try to avoid competition where we can because we're small. It doesn't really help us if we're splitting our market by competing on models. Sometimes it's inevitable because we don't always know what everybody else is working on. But we try to avoid it where we can. But double O, yeah, it makes sense for us from a business point of view to go into the double O market.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I suppose, yeah, as it is the bigger market, does make sense. Would you ever go any bigger? Do you ever think O gauge might be something?
O gauge is difficult. The reason O gauge is difficult is first of all because nobody in O gauge seems to know what they actually want. So at various shows that we go, it's true. Various shows we go to, we get O gauge guys come up and says, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And they say, "Okay, look at our current range. What would you like?" You have, 5 O gauge modelers there. Every single one of them wants something different, and not only do they each want something different, they don't want what any of the other guys want, which makes it incredibly difficult. And also, I mean, it would be a significant investment in resources, a significant financial investment. And if I'm being straight, honestly, we're just not convinced that the market is there already for the kind of production model that we offer. We're only really interested in very modern stuff. We do a bit of older stuff. But generally speaking, we are more interested in up-to-the-minute trains than old stuff. Whereas the O gauge market to us seems pretty steam focused, pretty tweedy, and it's just not really our thing. We did do, with association with Heljan, a limited run class 37 in DRS Compass livery, and it took ages for them to sell. And people were carping about the price and carping about this. We just thought, well, honestly, we've got better things to do.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. But you are obviously looking at other scales because I think quite the surprise was your announcement of the TT. I want to get the code right. The JNA wagons, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Well, I mean, we think TT has got a lot of potential. I think that Hornby absolutely 100% did the right thing in ignoring the old TT market and starting afresh with TT 120, 1 to 120th, where the track and the scale is true and correct, which means that you can run continental models, or you can run models that go through the Channel Tunnel on the continent, and continental modelers could buy them as well as British modelers. They're all to the same scale. Finally, we've got a scale that matches the gauge, and also we've got a scale that matches the rest of the world. So I think it was TT 120 is fantastic purely from that sense. But we also think it's, there's so much opportunity when you've got a new scale with nothing out there or very little out there. I mean, Hornby, I think, have done an absolutely incredible job in bringing as much to the market as they already have, but there are still huge gaps, and that's where we are looking to exploit those. But it all depends how well the first wagon does. If it does well, we'll do more. If it doesn't, we won't.
I can't imagine it not doing well because it seems such a popular scale from its announcement. It seems to be grow so fast, and I think what you're offering is a great choice of wagon for the modern image modeler because they're everywhere. Those wagons, and it doesn't matter. I think one of the main complaints of TT120 was that you can't model a certain era or area because there's nothing there. But like with your offering, I mean, just the Network Rail branded wagons where you can have them on any line you like if you're doing modern image, can't you? So yeah, I wish you all the luck with them because I think it's, I was so surprised when you announced it, but I think like you say, there's a market there, and yeah, I think you'll be all right. And Sam's definitely hoping to be small wagons, I'm sure.
I definitely am.
Well, the J&A box wagons, as you see them everywhere. They have been our most successful product in 00 and in N. So we thought, well, let's go in with that one. If that works, then we can look at things that might be a little bit more esoteric. If that doesn't work, then, well, okay, but for whatever reason, there could be good reasons, the market isn't really interested in what we're offering. I mean, one thing I would say is when we launched it, the price point we went in at is our standard price point. We do highly detailed scale models for adults. They're going to be expensive because we take a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of pride in them. And our sense was that some of the TT newcomers or entrants into the scale or into the model railway hobby were a little bit taken aback that they weren't 25 quid, the same as a Hornby TTA tank wagon. But it's been interesting that since we launched about a year ago, this model at 44.95, the later Hornby wagons, like for example the KFA container flats have just come out, are around about the same price. So I think the prices are leveling up in the scale as it sort of matures. And I suspect some of those early prices by Hornby were really, I wouldn't say loss leaders. They wouldn't be making a loss, but they certainly weren't priced according to the amount of effort that gone into them.
They felt enticing sort of prices, didn't they? To get people into the hobby. I mean, that Easterner train set even now is sort of sitting in shops, I think about £150 or something like that. And, it's the same price as an OOK's loco. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's a sensible way of growing the scale.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's not just TT, is it? Because you're working in partnership with Model Rail on 009, is that right?
Yes. So Model Rail approached us a couple of years ago now and said they were interested in developing some more models. Would we work with them on that? I already know George Dent, the editor of Model Rail, because I write a monthly column in Model Rail anyway. And he had inherited a series of projects from the previous editor who had left. And he wasn't perhaps confident about his ability to manage those products. So what he wanted us to do was to come on board, look at the various ideas that had either been launched or were preparing to be launched, and effectively project manage them on behalf of Model Rail and bring the models to the market for them. So the Vale of Rydal Loco was the first one. We are just waiting now for decorated samples of that model. And if they are okay and they work and they look good, then that will go into production as soon as Model Rail are ready. The second thing they've asked us to do was the older style BR built nuclear flask wagons, the flat roll MJs that became XKBs under tops, and that now is at the decorated sample stage and will be going on sale, I'm sure, in the magazine very soon. So we enjoy doing those sorts of projects with other people. We did 00 gauge J&A wagons with Hornby magazine as well. So we kind of like that stuff. And what we also have as well, which is probably less well known, is we have a couple of what I'd call angel investors. So these are guys who come up to us and say, look, there's this model, and this was what happened with Caroline, the Southern Region General Manager's Inspection Saloon. A guy came up to us and said, I'd really want a model of Caroline. Can you do it? We said, well, yes, but we don't think it's going to sell very well because it's a single vehicle with 3 liveries or 4 liveries. And he said, well, no, I think it will. I'd like to sort of backstop the development. So in the end, that person didn't have to put a lot of money into the project because actually, as soon as we opened the order book, it was pretty clear that there was a market for it. And I mean, it's a crazy expensive coach. It's 160, 170 pounds for a coach. But if you stop and think about it, it's really a locomotive without a motor in. It's got pickups, it's got headlights, it's got interior lights, it's got a lot of detail, it's got full interiors. And also, and the overriding factor in how much your model is going to cost you to buy is not how much detail there is or what the features are. It's how many is the manufacturer making. And if we're making, say, 10,000 of something, the price is going to be a lot less than if we're only making 1,500 of something.
That's I mean that Caroline coach is absolutely beautiful, and that sort of price point. I think you can't argue with that when you look at the level of detail that you put into it. So that's I think it's worth it, isn't it? When I missed out on it, if I'm honest, so, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if I get one, and then it was gone. And so yeah, as you say, there must have been definitely a market for it. But with the 009, is that your first steam engine that you sort of worked on?
Yes, kind of. So there's a guy called Sam who used to design models for Graham Farish, then created his own company in Hong Kong called Sonic Models. And we helped him come to the British market. I did things like the painting diagrams for his first model, which was the 062 56XX Great Western the tank engine.
Hmm.
However, he then moved to the UK with his family and is now UK based and is very much doing his own thing. So we kind of had an involvement in that. We weren't involved anywhere with the design or the functionality of it. It was purely just helping him market the thing and bring it to the UK. So yeah, in terms of our project, the Vale of Rydal locomotive is our first steam engine. Yes.
Is that in production terms? Is that more challenging than doing the diesel and electric stuff that you do, or is it sort of on the same level?
Steam engines are difficult. Steam engines are difficult because they have outside motion. That is something that has to be produced with enormous care. And it's bad enough in 4 mil. I suspect that offering a locomotive with outside motion in 2 millimeter is something that's probably beyond us at the moment. I'm not
Hmm.
saying it's something we'll never do, but
Yeah.
it's something that's very much outside our comfort zone right now. So the 009 is an interesting compromise because obviously the detail is 4 millimeter scale, but the actual gauge is 9 millimeter, the same as N gauge. So it's kind of like an interesting experience for us. The factory we're using to do that is a factory that's very familiar with producing steam locomotives, though, which again gives us some confidence and some reassurance. But I don't want to understate the challenges involved for a company like us producing a steam engine. And I applaud those like Hornby and like Bachmann who regularly produce top quality steam engine models.
Yeah, I was going to say because yeah, like you say, the motion and that has got to be because when they go wrong and you're trying to put them back together, it's
Yeah.
trying to work out how it quite goes. And from a design point of view, when you're sort of just looking at photos and drawings and sort of working out from scratch and how it works with all the gearing and everything, it's got to be such a challenge. But I mean, I'm quite excited about it. I'm a 009 modeler, so I've got my eye on that one, waiting for the order book to open. But yeah, I look forward to seeing it. And from your other models that I've had, I'm sure that it's going to be absolutely superb. I say because I picked up those JNAs that you've done with Hornby magazine, and that they're incredible as well. Like the detail for what is a box wagon, it's you've put such beautiful detail on the underside. It's yeah, it really shows the care and attention that you put into your models, which I think all of us as modelers appreciate in this day and age where we're sort of crying for more and more detail. And it's nice to see when companies do come through.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to produce models that you can be proud to own. I think one of the things that held model railway back in the past has been the idea that they're toys. They're not. They're adult. They're collectibles for adults. And also the idea that you have to keep things below a certain price, so you forfeit detail. I mean, I always look at the German market and I look at the European markets. You don't see them obsessing about price. They just want a really good, reliable, high quality product that they can be proud of. I mean, in Germany, for example, having a model railway was seen as something that an engineer would do, something that you took pride in, and your friends would come around and admire it. We were always a little bit embarrassed about our model trains here in the sort of maybe, certainly before COVID, possibly because the quality wasn't there, it wasn't as good, and that was fine. I mean, I understand the reasons for that. But I think now, if you look at the products that we're producing and the other smaller manufacturers, and also Hornby and Bachmann too, particularly Bachmann, who I think produce superb models, I think that you can be proud to own those. You can be proud to show them off. They are beautiful pieces of miniature engineering, and they are a joy to own, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's definitely the hobby's definitely changed. It's definitely evolved. I think it's definitely a lot more open. Obviously, we have a lot more TV programs about it that try and. I like to think they try and promote it. Sometimes I still think there's a bit of ridicule in their production values, but I assume that's sort of the nature of the beast of trying to get people to watch. But yeah, I think you're right. These are the kind of models you can just put on display and just admire the beauty and the detail and the hard work that's been put into them. Or you can run them and enjoy them that way. I don't think many people back in the day would be putting up their Lima model on the shelf to display. I'm sure some would, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely
I mean,
different, isn't it?
I remember, sticking bits of brass onto locomotives to correct roof details, or to, for example, on old Farish 47s, they all came with a buffer beam, but you wanted to get little bits of brass to replicate the cutaway buffer beams on some 47s, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was lots of fun, but the reality is, at the end of that huge amount of work, you had something that looked like a fairly basic model with some fundamental dimensions that were wrong, with bits of metal stuck onto it in an effort to make it look better. And that was fine. That was what there was then. But now I think
Mm.
we've moved beyond that. I mean, there is a bit of a paradox behind the idea of lots of TV programs about model trains, which is obviously that realistically, the whole point of model trains is they're a craft hobby that you can enjoy, that certainly helps your mental health because you can lose yourself in it and create your own small world. And kind of the whole point of it is it's getting you away from just looking at a screen. However, I do think that the model railway shows that you mentioned there have done a lot for the hobby. And I think COVID actually has done a lot for the hobby because people have realized how important it is to have something that you can have as a mental health release. It is sensible to have a hobby, a pastime. So I think the whole point of it is it doesn't matter. The whole point of it is you don't need to do it, you choose to do it. And that is incredibly liberating, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think when you sort of look at the YouTube channels that have popped up over the recent years, they all sort of seem to have been born around the time of COVID. That stuck at home, nothing to do, might as well put a layout, or I might as well document it because that was a way of us socializing at the time, wasn't it? You couldn't go out to clubs, you couldn't go out to shows, so yeah, I'll stick it on a video. And from that, we've got so many more modelers that we've become aware of. I think the hobby has expanded and grown, and yeah, like you say, it's everyone needs a hobby, and this is probably the best one in the world. So it's probably the best one to be in. It's definitely has grown. I think.
Yeah, certainly. I agree with you. I mean, I think the whole sort of, the YouTubing podcast as well, of course. We were doing during COVID, Mike and I were doing Facebook Live so we could show people samples, talk to people about what we were doing because we obviously couldn't get out there and shows didn't happen for about a year. So, I mean, I think the internet I mean, it's democratized the hobby in all sorts of ways. First of all, it gives everybody a voice. It gives anybody an avenue to put their content out there to everybody. The hobby is no longer being gate kept by magazines and so on. It's something that anybody can do. But also, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that for small companies like us, the internet has enabled us to go direct to China, to send them information, to send them drawings. We don't have to go over to China all the time to talk to engineers. We can just send them all sorts of data and information and get in touch with them via the internet. And that's opened up the whole of the manufacturing. And that's one of the only reason really why you have small companies like us joining the fray, joining the market and offering modelers more choice.
I think that's great because I think the smaller companies like yourself, you do, as you say, you can do things that the bigger companies can't do. But I think what you do that they can't do then forces them to do it because you're creating a competition that wasn't originally there, and I think that's for the better for all of us as modelers.
I think there's two aspects to that, and I agree with what you're saying. The first aspect, I think, is that there is the level of quality that we can bring to the party, I think, is something that will make other manufacturers up their game, the larger manufacturers in particular. But I also think we can do for the customers, though, is provide them with more choice. Because if you look at our range of things that we have produced, I think, when I look at what we have done, the amount of models we have produced, that we have considered a great success. If I was Mr. Bachmann or Mr. Hornby, those same models would be a financial disaster because we've produced very few compared to the traditional production runs of the larger manufacturers. I'm not saying we've done badly, and I'm really happy with what we've done, but it's only because we are a tiny company with minuscule overheads, and we're not all driving around in Ferraris. I wish that we are able to effectively sort of make a financial case for a niche model. I mean, I don't know. There's lots of examples I could give you. Perhaps the most obvious one is the big nuclear flask carriers that we did a few years ago in N-gauge, the ones that have 4 bogies and they have like a sub chassis and then the main chassis. They're used for carrying nuclear submarine fuel around.
Yeah.
Only 2 ever built. We did them in a twin pack, both the wagons, and I can't remember how many we sold. It wasn't that many. They were £150, I think, for the pack. And yet, because of the way we work, that was a financial success for us. But again, if I had been a bigger company, it would have been an absolute, well, you wouldn't have even started because you just know you're never going to sell enough. I mean, Caroline is another good example. Again, reputationally, it's been a fantastic success. Those who have them come and tell me at shows how absolutely delighted they are with them. So from that point of view, it's a success for us. But financially, for us, it works. For a bigger manufacturer, it just wouldn't. And that's what smaller companies like ours can bring in. So yes, you can go and buy your Flying Scotsman from Hornby. You can go and buy your Class 37 from Bachmann or Accurate Scale. You can go and buy a Class 47 from Bachmann, from Cavalex potentially in the not too distant future, from Hornby even if you want. However, you're never going to be able to buy Caroline from one of the larger manufacturers because it just wouldn't make financial sense for them. But
No.
that is available to the market. It does mean, of course, that you have to jump when you see it, and if you wait, you may miss out. And I'm sorry to hear that you did miss out.
That's all right. I changed my mind like the wind. I'm era 2 at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
It happens, and I expect in another couple of years we may do another run. So there you go.
That'd be cool. I think I might keep an eye out for that then. Right, I think it's time for some quick fire questions then that we like to always ask our manufacturers when they come on. They're usually the same basis of questions we ask any guest, really. We'll start off with, are you more of a fan of diesel, steam or electric?
Diesel and electric. West Coast mainline is my primary interest.
That's very cool. Anything in particular in the West Coast that you really like, or?
Freight. I mean, I'm a sucker for a freight train, any freight really. I quite like fast passenger trains, so Pendolinos. Obviously, that's how we started. I've got a couple of the Cato ICE Azuma trains, and I'm going to get some of the new ones that they've launched. And also I like units. I really like units. And again, one area that we've looked to develop is multiple units because I think they were neglected by the major manufacturers.
Yes, you did was it the 321? Was that one of yours?
321 and a 320 for Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think that's kind of model people weren't expecting to see, but I suppose that goes back to what you were saying, that you can take these risks with these more niche models where others can't. So that is cool.
Completely.
Lovely. Well, I think we know the answer to the next question, but what's your favourite scale?
N-gauge, yeah, obviously. Although I think TT 120 has got huge potential.
That's the kind of answer Sam likes to hear.
that is music to my ears. When you said it earlier in the episode, I was sort of sat here rubbing my hands together. I was like, "Oh, that's great," because I think James was right. That nobody was really expecting the J&A wagons to come out, but I think with the fact that the Hornby 66s didn't really have anything to pull apart from the container wagons, and that's not necessarily what they always just pull. The second you announced it, I think James and I texted each other and both said that's the perfect thing for the modern modeler in TT, and it was something that was definitely missing. So yeah, I'm big fan of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I prefer modern day aggregate trains over container trains. So I think they're far more interesting than they're. Yeah, it was very, very exciting things when that was announced. What is your favourite loco?
Probably a Class 92, but I also really like Class 60s.
Very similar looking, I suppose, aren't they? So,
and I've got a very soft spot for Class 59s as well, because when I was like many people, sort of left the hobby for quite a while when I was a younger man, and I was much more interested in my career and starting a family and all the rest of it. but it was when I moved to London in the sort of mid 90s, and I kind of rediscovered my interest in railways probably in the sort of the late 90s. And I used to go down to Kensington Olympia. And I remember, I mean, okay, we'd had privatization by then, but there was still a lot of BR Blue around and rail
Mm.
freight liveries. And then suddenly I saw this silver thing come through with a big Y on the side, and another one came through that's like a kind of greeny yellow color with a big ARC on the side. It was like, what the hell are these? They're incredible, and they just look so different to anything else that I find out what they were. So that's when I sort of started buying magazines and sort of rediscovering an interest, really.
Cool. Yeah, I love a 59. Because that was one of the first models my dad got me. I think it was 59, probably 003, the one I went off to Germany then. But yeah, I had that Yeoman loco for years. They are,
Yeah,
especially at the time, because they were so, like you said, they were so different. Well, obviously, they're very samey now with the 66s,
yeah,
but
yeah,
at the time, it was something different. It was like a spaceship on the railway kind of thing.
yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. And Kensington Olympia, that must have been a great place to go spotting at that sort of time.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in sort of the mid 90s, there was lots there to look at. I'd cycle over there, maybe spend a couple of hours there if I had a bit of time, and yeah, so much interesting stuff going through there. Still parcels trains, of course, at that time. You had 47s with Mark IIs, 313s going through. Of course, we've done a model of those in Engage. Yeah, no, it's just and really, it's the cross London freight artery. So you had all the Channel Tunnel stuff as well. You had the Eurostars being pulled by pairs of 73s or by 37 with using the barrier wagons going up to North Pole Depot. Yeah, just lots of really interesting stuff. I think it's still good though. I mean, Kensington Olympia
Yeah,
is still a
I
great
think
place.
nowadays, it's still a good spot. I mean, we still send a lot of freight around the corner there when it comes off the Western region. I know that. So yeah, it's still got to be a good spot to go if you're in the Kensington area. I put one in here, not one we usually ask, but as you guys make lots of wagons, do you have a favourite wagon?
Oh, well, I mean, I could say the JNA. I think it's got a lot of for a boring box wagon. It's got a lot of character, because it has got all that sort of interesting stuff on the underside. Different numbers of ribs. Some have doors, some don't. They're surprisingly diverse when you look at them. But if I had to actually pick a favorite, I'd probably say the Illumina tanks we did, the PCAs, and that's because that's all coated in a fantastic research trip that we made up to Fort William, where the UK's only remaining aluminium smelter is. And those wagons carry, alumina from Blythe up to Fort William. They're the only revenue-earning freight train that still operates on the West Highland line for all sorts of, train enthusiast reasons. Either they're very characterful, they're four-wheel, they're not. I mean, there's very few remaining four-wheel wagons in revenue service. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of those. In fact, they've recently gone out of service anyway. They've been replaced by the bogie tanks, and the Plasmor PNAs are the ones that go up and down the East Coast main line that I see quite regularly. So they've just got a lot of character.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that choice. So we go on to, we've obviously mentioned that wagon, and that was something you produced. Is there a favourite model that you have produced so far out of everything you've done? Is there something that stands out as your sort of pride of the fleet kind of thing?
I mean, I can't see us doing it because there is already a pretty reasonable model out there, but I'd love to do a Class 60. I think that in terms of wagons, the wagons that I loved on the real railway were the curved-sided JGAs in RMC orange. I used to see those when I lived in London, when they were still in hall aggregates use with the big white stripe down the side. Um, when I was product development officer for the Engage Society, that was pretty much the first kit that I produced under my own steam, the curved-sided JGAs, because I liked it so much. It's probably because we focused on things like the HOAs and the IABs that we haven't looked to do that as a model as ready to run, and because the Engage Society kit is still out there. Maybe that's what I'd like to do in the future.
That's cool.
I want to jump in on that. You said about the Class 60, and you've said about how you think there's a really good market for TT. Do you think that you would make
obviously, if you've got secret stuff, I'll take this out of the episode and you could tell me to
No,
shut
no.
up. But what's do you think the probability of you moving into TT and making a Class 60 locomotive is something that you would like to do?
I wouldn't go so far as to specify Class 60 because it wouldn't surprise me at all if another manufacturer was working on one.
Okay.
However, if the JNAs do okay, then we are very, very cautious. We are very risk averse. We try to do everything in a very, very, very strategic and thought out way. So with TT120, our strategy is this. JNA wagon, see how it does. If it does well for us, then the next wagon will almost certainly be something that we could also sell in Europe. So probably one of the ferry vans that we do. If that does well, then we would look to make a powered model. Now, if you look at TT overall, there is a heavy freight locomotive. There's a Class 66. There is going to be a 37. There could be the missing gaps are the sort of something like a Type 2, like a 25 or something like that. One of the Scottish locos, 26, 27. But for me, the big gap, if you wanted to do a layout now in TT120 and you wanted it to be modern, which is my interest, is some kind of multiple unit.
Yeah, that's I agree with you there. I think the multiple unit was the one thing I didn't understand Hornby not doing in the first place was I just felt like the perfect choice for most modelers. If you pick the right one, probably most people were going to start with a little back-to-back sort of end-to-end branch line terminus or something with that. But yeah,
I did a very big jump as you said those words, because me being a very big EMU and DMU modeler, I would very much love to see something like that in TT. So here's hoping. So if you are on the fence about any of the JNA wagons, now is the time to invest. And then if you're happy with that, ferry wagons, because I would be very, very excited to see what you guys can come up with in TT120. Just for my own, are you guys going to be at Gets this year?
Yeah, I think I said earlier, we attend 5 to 6 shows every year. The Great Electric Train Show is one we always do because we think it's a really good show. I think that Mike Wild, his guys there, somehow managed to find a really, really good mix of layouts. And what always staggers me is how many layouts they find that are really good that I've never even seen before. And we go to a lot of shows, so we kind of lapse into this lazy thinking that we've seen all the layouts there to see, and that absolutely isn't the case. And Mike really digs up some really nice layouts. It's in a great venue. We always stay in the hotel that's in the football ground there, so it's really easy to get to. I think it's probably one of my favorite shows on the calendar, so absolutely we'll be there.
Right. I think I've got one more question to ask you then, and that is, out of everything you've produced, what is your favorite model?
It's a difficult one to answer that because we've been learning as we go, and every model we do in theory is slightly better than one before because we've learned to make it better. We've learned to do things in a more efficient or effective way. We've specified things differently. We've learned what works and doesn't work. So I would have to say that the model I'm most proud of right now is the one we've produced most recently, which is the N-Gauge Class 66. It's got, I think, and I would say this, of course, I think it's got superb detailing. It's got detail features on it that aren't even on the 00 models that are out there. It's got really good sound for an N-Gauge model. ESU did the sound project, and it's, I think, superb. We've managed to fit a bigger speaker than you'd normally get an N-Gauge loco in there, which improves the sound. And also, there's another aspect to this, which is that, in fact, our Drax hoppers that we did a few years ago with Drax Power are another one I'm proud of. And the reason I'm proud of those isn't just that I think they're really nice models. It's because as part of the licensing arrangement with Drax, we and Rails of Sheffield, who were a partner retailer on those, were raising money for Martin House Children's Hospice, which is Drax's charity of choice at the time. And we raised a significant amount of money for them through sales of these models. And that encouraged us with the Class 66 to do the same again. So last year we agreed with Drax that we would produce 66301. in its characteristic gold livery. It was painted that colour to celebrate Drax's 50th anniversary. And we've also just announced at the Engage show a couple of weeks ago that we're producing 66190 in DB red, but named Martin House Children's Hospice. Now, Mike and I have been invited to the naming of that locomotive a couple of years ago because of the work we've done raising money for the charity. And when it turned up, it was absolutely bulled up with a high gloss finish. It had brightly painted white wheel rims. It had an all new silencer fitted with no tarnishing on it. So the model we're doing represents that. It's quite unusual for an Engage model to be produced with all that sort of work put into it in terms of what the depot did to make it look good for the day for its naming. And that again will be raising money for Martin House Children's Hospital. And those two locomotives, we'll be working out exactly how much we've raised. The Drax Gold, when it's sold out, the 66190 models, I think we're already about 2/3 sold out on those, but there are still some available, only available through Revolution Trains website. The purpose of that is, of course, that if we don't sell it via retailers, we get more margin, which means we can give more to the charity. Obviously, because there isn't a retailer margin in there, it just means we can maximize exactly how much we can give the charity. And we'll be working out how much we can give them and handing it over to them sometime next month.
That's really nice. That is. That's. I think, yeah, a perfect choice for a model to be proud of there, and especially the fact that the likes of yourself, Anna Kirska, when you do these charity models to support the outside community from what is quite a privileged hobby, I suppose. It's a way of us all putting something back. So, yeah, perfect choice, I'd say. And I imagine people have to be quick if they want to get hold of one before they're all gone, I suppose.
Yeah, they're selling quickly. They are selling quickly, which is great. It's lovely to see people in the hobby, hopefully motivated, not just because they think it's a nice model, but because they think they do want to support such a good cause. So yeah, and I'd say the Drax Gold ones sold very quickly as well.
That's really cool. Very cool stuff. Ben, I think that's all. Wrap it up, and thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a pleasure understanding the process behind Revolution, how you've begun from a humble Kickstarter to where you are today. And it's been an absolute delight talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll open up the exhibition calendar.
You there? Oh, me? Do you like model railways? Yes, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. Do you like comedy? No, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. If you like model railways and comedy, head over to BugglesKellyStation.com. From Dad's Army to Will Hay, Laurel and Hardy to the island of Sodor. Add a comedy cameo to your model railway today. All right, thanks. Buggles Kelly Station. You won't be wasting your time.
There we are. That was a lovely, pleasant chat with Ben from Revolution Trains. I really enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Steve?
I did. I think it was just lovely to hear him talk about, about the Revolution Trains, and I can remember when they first started, when he was still a journalist, and was it sort of various wagons and bits and pieces came out, and I was toying with Engage at the time, and I thought, oh yeah, this could be interesting. Sadly, I'm not doing Engage anymore because it's far too small for me to see, but the stuff they're producing is absolutely lovely.
It is. Well, I mean, obviously, now in they're venturing into TT.
Yeah,
They've got OO gauge, and so all for choice from them really, and some really lovely models.
Yeah,
So,
no. Whenever I see them at shows, I do like looking at their stuff. Whether or not I buy any of it or not is another question. If they start doing some HO scale American, I might.
You never know. You can just pitch the idea to them. They might take you up on it.
They might do. You never know. You never know.
You never know. There we are. Right then, Steve. Shall we get the exhibition diary out?
Come on in. Let's go.
Well, there's not. I've already had a look, and there's not a lot actually going on this weekend. It's probably because there's actually two rather big shows So for the upcoming weekend of Saturday, the 11th of October. Can you believe we're in October already? Eh?
I know, I know.
Where has the year gone? I mean, it goes around the same period of time it does every year, but I don't know. As you get older, everything seems to go quicker and quicker. Goodness knows. But we'll start on Saturday 11th with the Gauge One Model Railway Association having their Gauge One Autumn Show and AGM. This is the Hopetown Works and A1 Trust at the Locomotive Works in 13 to 14 Hopetown Lane in Darlington, Durham. South Devon Model Railway Society is having an open day just on the 11th. This is at the Church House in Abbots Well. I believe I said that right.
I think
Near
so.
Newton Abbot in Devon. Even when you live in the area, you know what I'm on about. So someone have commented that on Instagram the other day. You know, I poorly pronounced it, but they knew what I was talking about, so it works. It makes you pay attention. I also have dyslexia, so anyone picking on me about it, that's a hate crime, and you know.
That's all right.
Uh,
We're gonna produce a James to English pronunciation dictionary, so that a guide for all MRRP listeners.
we are.
At least you don't say Chatham.
Yes, Chatham. There we are. Yeah. I speak proper like innit? So there we are. Saturday 11th also has the Heart of England Narrow Gauge Modelers having their monthly meeting at the 22nd Rugby Scout Hut to the Kent in Hillmorton Rugby, Warwickshire. If anyone was looking to go to the St Neots Model Railway Club exhibition, I'm afraid it's been cancelled. There is, however, the South West Herts Model Railway Society at their Watford Autumn Model Railway exhibition. This is at St Peter's Church Hall in Bushy Mill Lane in Watford, Hertfordshire. There's also the Farnham and District Model Railway Club's 50th annual exhibition at the Alderwood Leisure Centre in Tongham Road in Aldershot, Hampshire. And that's all weekend for the 11th and the 12th. On the 11th and the 12th is the Furness Model Railway Club's 62nd Model Railway and Transport Exhibition. This is at the Chent Wind School in Ratting Lane, Barrow in Furness, Cumbria. There's also the Christchurch Model Railway Club having a Christchurch Model Railway exhibition at the Bournemouth School for Girls at Castlegate Close off Castle Lane West in Bournemouth, Dorset. The Elizabethan Railway Society is also having an annual exhibition all weekend at the Summit Centre in Pavilion Road off Lowmore Road in Kirkby in Ashfield in Nottinghamshire. The one we're all interested in, Steve, Horby
Yes.
Magazine's Great Electric Train Show at the Arena
Woo!
MK, Stadium Way, Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire. And yes, I'm afraid if you are planning to go there, we will be spoiling it for you because we all intend to show up.
Yes. The
So
posse. The
yes.
posse. It's going to be like the most boring stag do on the planet.
So, yes, Stan thinks we're all going to celebrate the fact that he got nominated by Horby Magazine. We're actually going to storm the gates. I am going to smash the place up and demand why my name was not on that list. But
Even worse,
yeah,
why was my name not on that list? I mean,
exactly, Steve. Exactly. I mean,
uh,
if you can have someone who lives in South Africa modelling UK railways in the list, why can't you have someone who lives in the UK modelling American railways in the list? It just
exactly.
it boggles the mind. It really
It,
does.
it,
You know he's going to cut this out.
if he doesn't, I'm just going to tell people I'm going to buy him a tiara, so you know where to find him.
That's it. But yeah, no, we will be about. So yeah, do come say hello to us. Don't feel intimidated just because
Yeah.
we've got Tom in tow, towering over poor little Sam. But yeah, it should be a fun day out. I
It
think
should be.
they usually do a YouTube meet and greet about 2 o'clock in one of the rooms. So we'll probably be egocentric enough to venture in there and
Oh
then
God, yeah,
walk out 10 minutes
absolutely.
later. 10 minutes later, all disappointed because nobody knew who we were. But
I'm wearing my t-shirt with my name on it. They'll know who I am.
excellent stuff. There we go. If you can't make it to the Great Electric Train Show, there's always Worley's smaller version of Worley, as it once was. At the Worley at Staffold Model Railway Show at the Staffold County Park, Ashby Road in Tamworth, Staffordshire. There's Wakefield Railway Modeler Society. If Yorkshire to Milton Keynes is a bit too far for you to go, don't blame you. That's quite the distance. It's at the Wakefield Model Railway Show, Queen Elizabeth Grammar School in Northgate, Wakefield, West Yorkshire, and that is all for this coming weekend.
God, it really wasn't that many, was there?
No, I think it's because there's a
Yeah.
couple of big ones in it. You got Worley and
Yeah.
you got Getz. I will not understand why they are on the same weekend. I'm sure there are reasons, and
Well,
we
I,
won't
I
get into
suppose
them.
this isn't the Worley show, which is now, was it the National Railway show up in the NEC, that since it's got taken over. So it's not the big one.
Well,
But
you say that, but they've got over 30 layouts going there, and
ah,
also at Staffold Barn, it's a narrow gauge museum, so it's in the museum with all the locomotives.
right,
This is what Tony used to organise there.
yeah,
Tony's trains at rugby. He used to have a couple of shows there.
yeah, he'll
Um,
say, yeah.
but Morley does it now, um, and yeah. So I find it curious because I would like to go, but the Milton Keynes one is always going to win because it's just down the road. Um, so
Yeah,
it's
and of course you don't have to, cross that bit of the UK that's missing on the MRP map. That
well,
sort of
this is it. I'd
the
be
Midlands
venturing
bit.
into it'd be a bit like did you ever play Age of Empires with
Uh, no, I'm too old for that kind
uh
of thing.
well,
I
to be honest, Steve, it was on the PC in 1997. I mean, you can't be that old.
James, I used to play Risk on a board game. Okay, if it hasn't got pieces I can handle, I'm sorry, that's far too newfangled. This coming from a
um,
man who programs DCC decoders, but
That's the irony, really, because all my logos are still on free because I can't work out how to get my digitracks to do it.
do you know what? Bring them over to mine. I'll do it on my NCE
I
power
do.
cab, and then you
I
can
do.
have.
I need someone to do it for me because I tried it once and I cocked it up and I'm now terrified that these sound chips I'll damage them and that's £100 down the drain.
Oh dear.
Um,
Oh dear. Oh
yeah,
dear.
yeah. With it, yeah. I've had many misadventures with DCC chip, including the time I tried to put a speaker on. How did I? Oh, I can't remember what I did to it. I blew it. I wired the speaker back to front or something, and that was that sent the electricity into the into the chip, and that was £100 chip gone. Bye bye.
Okay.
It still worked as a chip. It just didn't make any sound.
Oh.
Yeah, there we are. Expensive lessons.
Oh
There we
well.
go.
The joys
Never
of our
mind.
hobby.
That's it. I wonder why we do this as a hobby sometimes because everyone seems stressed out with it. It's the most stressful hobby in the world. But it's
Oh,
fine when you're in exhibition, you're watching someone else's layout and it's working. Then it's very
absolutely.
relaxing.
When it goes
There.
well, it goes very well. When it goes bad, it's awful.
Indeed. Well, I think that wraps us up for this week, Steve. Do you want the opportunity of letting people know how to find you?
Oh my goodness. I get to take Sam's spot. I forgot about this.
Yeah, because I don't think you did it last time you were
I
on. I think we
didn't. I
forgot to do
didn't.
it.
Oh wow. Gosh, I feel this is well, I can't express how I feel about this. So guys, if you do want to find my channel, please go and have a look at it. I can be found on YouTube. Just search for the British Railroader. I'm also available on Instagram and Facebook as the British Railroader. And I have also joined, and I'm just going to have to quickly look at this on my phone, Model Train Media, which is a new kind of website slash social media network that's been put together just for us railway modelers. So if you go on there, you can find me under, I think it's Steve, the British Railroader.
There we are. Do you know what? You told me about that the other week, and I completely forgot about it to sign up. So it's a good shout there. I'll have to get onto that.
It's quite good. It's a bit almost like a bit of a chat room vibe going on and whatever. But it is, whereas when you go on Facebook and Instagram, you get all of the other stuff that kind of goes onto your feed and whatever. On Model Train Media, it is just model trains. And though someone set up a group about buses, and I thought that's a bit random, but I think they're talking about model buses that you have on the model railway. So I suppose it counts.
They are out there, Steve. I'm afraid they are out there.
So,
But-
James, I get to say this bit. How can people find you if they want to find you?
Well, Steve, if people want to find me, I am Western Sigerman on YouTube, Instagram, and that's about it really these days. But if you do want to find the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, we are on Instagram as the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. We are on Facebook, but we very rarely go on there, to be honest. It just
I
carries
know.
over the Instagram stuff. We're terrible at it. We need a social media manager. We really do.
You
Yeah,
can't
but we
afford me,
are.
mate.
We can't afford anybody. But we are occasionally on Facebook. We obviously have a YouTube channel where the podcast does get uploaded. We did have ideas for doing other things for it, but again, we need a social media manager. And obviously, you can email us. It's modelrailrp, that's Romeo Papa, at outlook.com. That's all for this week. I would say Sam returning next week, but Sam is still not returning with us. We will have another guest presenter next week. Who it will be, we have no idea. It might just end up being Steve again. Who knows? But all I can say for now is that hopefully we've been entertaining, informative, and have replaced your model railway, if only just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Steve, and obviously Sam in the interview. Thanks for listening.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.
Hello, listeners. We've got some very exciting news. Do you want to be part of the podcast? Do you want to join the team? Well, an exciting opportunity has come up to allow you to be part of the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And here's Sam with the details.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. A huge thank you to our Patreons for their support. If you'd like to help support the show, you can head over to Patreon and search Model Rail Replacement Podcast, where you can show your support and be part of the team.
Hurry, there's unlimited places.